What's going on, everyone? So the other day, Guy Busick, who is the screenwriter for Scream, did Scream 5, Scream 6, upcoming Scream 7, Radio Silence, did Ready or Not, and, Abigail, and all these other things. Well, he recently talked about the upcoming Scream 7, gave us a ton of insight on several key areas. And I wanted to talk about one of the big things that he spoke about, particularly with Sidney Prescott. So getting right into what he had to say, and it is quite a bit, so bear with me, right? I don't want to give anything away about the reason that it had to be a Sidney movie, because there is a really specific reason why Sidney is in this movie. We went to Nev Campbell and said, this is why. This is why Sidney now. Nev was like, oh, I get that. I pitched Kevin this first two. He got it. And then I pitched the studio. I came up with the story with my co-writers on 5 and 6, James Vanderbilt. I believe it was James that came up with it, bringing the Meeks. I don't want to spoil anything, but I will say it's through Gail. She's the connective tissue in 5 and 6, and she's in this. New York was obviously a big part of that. She bonded with those four, and there's a reason why these two come to town where the action is happening. It's not New York. It's an unspecified amount of time after Scream 6, but in my mind, more than 2 years. I would say at least 2 years. It could be 2 years, but I would say 2 years plus. So again, gave us some insight that, like, hey, this is a Sidney movie, which we all knew. Gave us some insight on the Meeks twins, right? That Gail is the reason that the Meeks twins are going to be involved, that she, built this relationship, built this rapport with the Meeks twins. He did talk about the core four specifically, which I want to actually dedicate a separate video for that. Because again, he had the conversation about Sidney Prescott, which I want to keep this video focused on, and then talked about the core four, which we'll focus on in a separate video. But did talk about how kind of Gail is the bridge. Gail is the gap that is going to kind of link everything together. And look, there were rumors that came out a while ago that, once the Meeks twins were announced to be in this film, that like, hey, the Meeks twins, they're going to be a part of Gail. They're going to be helping Gail, and Gail's going to be the reason that they're there. Now, supposedly, that they're kind of doing their own like reporting thing and kind of involved in all that. Well, Guy kind of gave us that confirmation that kind of backs it up, right? That, Gail's built a relationship with the Meeks twins, and, which, again, Sidney with Randy and all that, right? So, there is that inherent connection, right? There is that easy built-in factor. And look, and I've talked about with Gail Weathers, you don't need a rhyme or reason for anything with her, right? Ghostface shows up. Guess what? She's going to be there because she's trying to get the scoop and the story. She's trying to get all the information. She wants to solve it and crack the code and write a book about it, right? That's what Gail does, right? So I do think that there is an inherent thing, but Sidney Prescott is the one that is difficult, right? She's the one that kind of stays out of it, that doesn't want to be involved, that isn't trying to be in the thick of it and in the mix of it, right? I mean, the only reason she even showed up in Scream 5 was because Dewey, right? If Dewey doesn't die, she probably stays out of it, right? I mean, she even told Dewey herself, like, believe me, like, I don't want to be involved. Like, I don't, I'm not, I'm watching myself, right? I got my gag, got my strap, I'm ready to go, but like, I'm trying to avoid the squabble, right? Like, so, now you're fast forwarding, and now she's going to be a huge part. She's going to be, front and center and a potential trilogy. We already got confirmation Scream 8's coming out, right? Like, so, you kind of, again, go down the list of these things, and it's like, there needs to be a real rhyme and reason and explanation for Sidney. I do think that there needs to be, the story has to make sense, in my opinion. Right? I don't think it's as simple as like, Ghostface is bad. It's like, well, why? Why after all this time? Again, something that I've talked about, right? Like, Sidney hasn't been the direct target of Ghostface since Scream 3, right? Scream 4, Jill, her plan, she wanted to be Sidney, right? She didn't need Sidney. Sidney wasn't the main target, wasn't the main focus. It was all her friends and everything like that. She wanted to be the survivor, right? Sidney showing up in a town just kind of became icing on the cake. Scream 5, they weren't targeting Sydney, yet they were targeting Sam and wanted to make Sam the new Sydney. And then Sydney ended up showing up. They didn't even know Sydney was going to come out, right? Come out of the woodworks and try to help, right? And then Scream 6, Sydney wasn't even involved. So literally, like, it's like, why after all this time, now they're targeting Sydney again? Now they're going after Sydney. And like, look, there is this inherent kind of like, Ghostface doesn't really need a reason to go after Sydney. Why? Because it's Sydney, right? That's every Ghostface's white whale. Every Ghostface wants to be able to be the one that said, we killed Sydney Prescott, right? Like, that I get, that I understand. But again, you want there to be some real, like, writing and execution to it, right? Like, like, you don't want it to be something where it's like, oh yeah, just why are they going after? Just cause. Like, what? Right? Like, again, how many brothers, cousins, nephews? Like, why are they coming out? Why are they going after Sydney? Like, so again, I'm all for, like, look, I am somebody that has said I want them to go off of Sydney Prescott. I want them to go in a different direction, which I do. I still do. But I get the circumstances. You kind of, it's like Sydney was the safest route. Let's go that direction, right? Like, I get. Okay, fine. I'm on board. You got me. Let's see it, make it happen. But that doesn't mean that I'm just all, like, hey, you can just do whatever. Like, no, you need to have. I'm never gonna complain about having Sydney Prescott in a movie, right? Scream movie. But like, I want there to be a purpose. I want there to be like Scream 5, she didn't need to be in that movie. Like, there was 0 point in her being in the movie. And there's even something that was addressed in the Guy Busick article and all that stuff, which, and Kevin Williamson even touched on, right? Like, her just showing up at the end to just shoot Ghostface and that's it, right? Like, and again, like, I'm never going to complain about seeing Sydney Prescott, but I want it to be purposeful. I want there to be a reason. I want there to be, hey, this is why Sydney's in the film. This is the direction we're going. There's a clear-cut motive, a clear-cut drive, right? Like, and I've talked about, like, there's so much to explore, so much potential here with, the family element of it and all that. Like, don't blow that opportunity, right? Like, you have a real golden opportunity here. Seize it. Take advantage of it, right? And I hope that they do. I hope that it's not one of those things where we look back and go like, well, that was stupid. I hope it's something where it's like, oh no, like they did a great job with just the execution of this or whatever, right? But we'll see. Time will tell, as always. But anyway, as always, this is a discussion. Pass a question on you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. What do you think? How do you feel? What are your thoughts? I'm gonna agree, disagree, kind of mixed in the middle. What do you think about Sydney Prescott kind of being front and center, for this whole Ghostface thing? And do you think that they're going to be able to write a convincing story? I'm not going to lie. I do have my concerns. I do have my reservations, if I'm being honest, because one, the way that Sydney and Gale were used in Scream 5 and 6 in particular, and then, just the general overall writing, I don't think was super strong in Scream 5 and 6, character development and whatnot. And then especially, again, where you have Sydney, maybe it's different because she's going to be the main focus, the main character, but I hope that they do justice, right, with her and her character. But anyway, again, either way, I'll love to hear it. Let me know down in the comments below. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Helps me a lot. So we enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. Not subscribe channel. What are you doing? Hit that subscribe button. Turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one.